What's up with it, guys? You got excellent name back again for my week 3 match against Keester. He brings a team of Zapdos, Porygon Z, Entei, Kingdra, Megalochni, and Jirachi. Fairly close to what I was expecting. He didn't bring Pelipper, which is a good sign to see because Rain would have been quite frustrating if he could get rid of the Ninetales. But yeah, other than that, pretty much exactly what I was hoping that he would bring. Decide to lead. I'm thinking Landorus would be the best lead because he's likely to lead either Megalochni or Jirachi to try to threaten the Ninetales, or maybe even Entei, but one of those two are more likely. I expect Jirachi to probably be scarfed in this game, and that would just mean that he can get some U-turn momentum off on anything, and obviously Lochni can get its Mega off. So yeah, I lead Landorus and he leads with Jirachi here. So I just want to Earthquake straight away. I'm Yachi Berry, so I can take a nice punch, and he goes into Kingdra. 36% means that this thing is max physical defense Kingdra. That is the wildest thing I had ever seen. I was flipping out a little bit when I first saw this, but regardless, I knew that whatever he wanted to do, Roserade could take it even better, knowing that he wasn't at all special attack investment. So I go right into it on the Scald. It does 10%, absolutely nothing. So I just take this as an opportunity to get up T-Spikes. T-Spikes threatens his team a lot, and it forces him into Porygon's, into the Zapdos. So he goes into the Jirachi. I'm going to put it on slow. He goes into Jirachi here, and I just go into my designated counter as he U-turns out immediately and goes into the Zapdos. I just decide that he's probably going to defog, so I want to get its item off as soon as possible. So I go for knockoff, and he actually U-turns and reveals to be a little bit fast. He goes into his Kingdra, once again, probably his designated defensive water this, and I knock off his Rocky Helmet, which means that I think he's fearing Mega Kangaskhan quite a bit to go for this. I don't want to take a Scald in case he's got a bit of speed creeping me, so I go back into Roserade, and he reveals to be Rest. So that's definitely some interesting tech. I just take this as an opportunity to set up more hazards, and he decides to stay in, presumably to just burn a sleep turn. And he sleep talks and gets the rest again. I don't think that mattered. I don't think he could have had any moves that would have really done anything to me anyway. So then he goes into Jirachi, and I just set up more spikes. And then I go back into Incineroar, designated counter, as he then headbutts me, doing nothing. And once again, I just want to knock off an item here, so I go right for that. He switches into the Zapdos, so I finally get this thing's item off, and it also reveals to be Rocky Helmet, which is quite crazy to me. I didn't think Mega Kang was that good in this matchup, but clearly Keester was extremely worried about it. So now that I got its item gone, I want to go into my Ninetales to threaten this a bit, punish it if it wants to defog, but he decides to go for Roost here. So yeah, I just fire off a Freeze Dry here on the Jirachi. It does absolutely nothing, as you can see. Oh no, actually Aurora Veil first. I can take an Iron Head if I wanted to. I go for a Protect here to scout its move. I'm pretty sure it's Scarf. I wouldn't risk it, but except that I do live a hit with Aurora Veil, just barely, so I do just go for the Freeze Dry here, and he does U-turn, which makes me think well, I thought he was Scarf, but he obviously undersped me, and he goes into Entei. So once again, I just want to protect to scout what move he's going for, just in case he's a banded set. I can just go for a Protect here and then disable whatever move he wants to go for, and he Toxics me. So bit risky play here, but I do decide to go for a Disable here, just to make sure that nothing gets Toxic. I didn't want to go into Roserade to take the Toxic, obviously, because he would do a lot to me, and I didn't want Incineroar getting Toxic, but now that Toxic is disabled, I can just freely go into Incineroar as he goes into Jirachi to threaten me out. Thankfully, Incineroar beats this 1v1, and he goes into the Zapdos as I go for the U-turn, predicting the switch. And then I get back in my Ninetales, so I can just fire off another Freeze Dry. He can go Jirachi if he wants, but it's taking a lot of Spikes damage, and he's not getting any chances to defog here if he even has it. So yeah, Freeze Dry here does 12%, 7%, puts him at 12, 6% hail damage, and now I can just Protect to get the hail kill. And he reveals to be Firium Z here. So I assume he was worried about Metagross or something. I'm not exactly sure, but it does 18%, virtually nothing. And I just pick off first kill of the game with hail damage here, which is good to see. And then he goes into his Entei to try to pressure me, knowing that I can't protect the Sacred Fire, so I just go into my Incineroar again, Yeah, he just goes for a Sacred Fire to try to get some damage off, doing still no damage. And yeah, at this point he's gonna die to hail or spikes or whatever. So he just stacks it because he knows it's not going to be useful anymore, and I just go for the fake out to make sure he doesn't get any extra damage off of me. So then he goes into the Zapdos. At this point I'm thinking he's going to defog, but I just go into Roserade anyway to take whatever move he wants to go for, and it turns out that he's probably not defog if he's not defogging at this point. Take the discharge with ease, and then he U-turns out, so I'm guessing his last move is HP Ice, and he goes into the Porygon Z. So, I Sludge Bomb here, it does 48%. I don't want him setting up an Agility or Nasty Plot because then I can lose. If it's Specs, I do take a Tri Attack just barely, and it turns out to be Specs, and then I just chip it off. I know I don't really need this Pokemon anymore because the Kingdra is Fizz Death, so it's not really too big of a threat offensively. So he just goes into the Lopunny to try to kill me off now, and obviously I don't want to sack that off just yet. I want to preserve differential, so I just go into the Landorus on the fake out. I know that I can take an Ice Punch with the Yache Berry, so I just go for Superpower here, and he switches out to the Kingdra to take the hit, clearly not wanting to risk that. I get a crit here, it doesn't really matter, doesn't do anything. And knowing that he's only burnt one turn of sleep and can't really do much to Deoxys anyway, I just go hard into it. He Sleep Talks, and I believe he rolls Rest here. Yeah, he rolls Rest, which is a bit unfortunate, but Scald only did about 30%, I think. So yeah, I just kill him off with Psychic, getting the first kill of the game for Deoxys. He goes into Zapdos. I calc it, he can't really touch me with U-turn even, it does like 30%. He hidden powers, I guess he was predicting a switch into the Landorus to take the Discharge potential power, and I Psycho Boost here to kill him off. I didn't need the special attack boost except for to kill the Zapdos, and now he goes into Lopunny, and I can just clean up the game here. He tries to fake out me, hoping for a crit into crit quick attack maybe, I'm not sure. Just like a last ditch effort I assume, and then I finish him off with the Psychic to get myself a nice 3-kill sweep with Deoxys speed, finally putting in work. So yeah, this was definitely a very good game for me, definitely a great confidence booster after I had kind of flubbed a bit of my past few games, admittedly, so it's great to show that I've still got it. Pick up a nice 6-0 with some good sweeps from Deoxys speed, definitely proving this Pokemon's worth as an offensive threat. So next week we fight TJ, I believe, so look forward to that one, guys. Peace.